Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Shalom and Laila Tub, that is to say good evening to the whole house of Yasha'al, all 12 tribes, wherever your feet are touching the soil on this evening, to the elder brother, Yahudah, to the younger brother, Ephraim, to the former stranger, the former foreigner, who was formerly estranged from the everlasting covenant, but having received the Ruach of adoption, the Ruach HaKadosh, the Ruach of the Mashiach, and whereby having been engrafted into the olive tree, who is Yahusha, who is Yasha'al, and whereby now becoming fellow citizens of Yasha'al, and whereby now becoming privy to the same everlasting covenant and promise and inheritance that was given to Yasha'al and to Yasha'al alone. Shalom and Barak'u, peace and blessings to you and your entire house, wherever your feet are touching the soil on this yom. Shalom, shalom to you, worldwide, to the whole house of Yahuwah, and to the stranger who has enjoined himself to us. Shalom, shalom to you. Shalom this evening. To those of you who are on YouTube, once again, we welcome you back, and we're grateful that the Master has sent you our way, that he has impressed upon your heart that the words that you are hearing are truth, and that he has drawn you here. Again, there are many channels that you can tune into, but the Master has sent you to this one, and this is no light matter. We do not take it as a light matter. We are humbled that the Master has deemed us worthy to be called his servants, to be worthy workmen, to go into his vineyard, and do his will, and to do his desire. Once again, welcome to you. Those of you on YouTube, welcome back to Yahuwah's Remnant Midweek Gathering. I am Dawood Ban Yahuwah, and this is my Aisha Ashayah.
Shalom.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to you, to those of you who are on YouTube. Once again, for those of you who are on YouTube, if you have a desire to join us live, you may contact us at the email provided in the channel description. Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. We are back, Barak Yahuwah, this evening, speaking about the coming Feast of Weeks, the coming Shabua'ut, and the urgency of this season, the urgency of this time. By now, the foundation has been laid, and you already know what is at stake. If you are a new subscriber to YouTube, then I encourage you to go back at least 5, 6, 7 videos with respect to Shabua'ut, so that you have a solid foundation as to what is getting ready to take place. The Master began laying the foundation of Shabua'ut by speaking these words. He said Ketubah. He said Ketubah. And we understand now that Ketubah has to do with a marriage covenant. It has to do with outlining the groom's responsibility to the bride in a marriage agreement, in a marriage arrangement. The second word that he spoke, the second phrase that he spoke, was that the house of Yasha'al must repent. The house of Yasha'al must repent and come back into covenant with him. Come back into Ketubah with him. He has laid the foundation now and taught us that Shabua'ut, the Feast of Weeks, is all about the renewing of the everlasting covenant. It is all about the renewing of the marriage covenant that he made with his people. And he is impressed upon us that because of the urgency of the season and the time, that this Feast of Weeks could very well be the house of Yahuwah's very last chance to come back into covenant with him before he removes his breath, before he removes his ruach, before he removes life from the earth. And when he does so, when he does this, not a matter of if, but a matter of when he does so, death is coming to the earth. Death himself is going to manifest in the person of Hashatan. And YAHUAH'S is going to enter into his hour of distress. The commonly called YAHUAH'S distress, in which the Gentiles call the Great Tribulation. And which, if those days are not shortened, no flesh is going to remain. Hear him. Hear him. If those days are not shortened, no flesh is going to remain. When he removes his breath, when he removes his ruach, when he removes life, death is going to manifest upon this earth. And he has sent his servant to call his people out of darkness. He has sent his servant to call his people unto himself, to bring them into Mount Zion. All who would heed his words, who would understand the serious nature of this time. Many are walking around in this season, and you're dead people. You're dead. He spoke this last week. You are dead. You are not alive. You think you're alive. You are not dead. You are not alive. You are dead. I spoke to my Aisha, a couple of more people earlier this week about a movie I saw several years ago. It was a Bruce Willis movie entitled The Sixth Sense. Many of you have seen that movie. And in that movie, this little boy is talking to Bruce Willis, who is a psychiatrist. And the little boy says to Bruce Willis, "I see dead people." And they go through the entire movie with this little boy talking to Bruce Willis. And it wasn't until the very end. Hear him. Hear him. Hear his voice. And it wasn't until the very end that Bruce Willis realized that he was dead. That he too was dead. Many of you are dead. You do not have his breath. You do not have his ruach. And thus you do not have life. You are dead. And you don't know you're dead. You are the walking dead. You are the living dead. And he's given his servants eyes to see dead people. And you don't understand that you are dead, and you're not going to understand until the very end that you are dead. That all along you were dead because you refused to wash. You refused to wash from your uncleanness. And thus you are still outside of the camp as one dead, as a dead, lifeless, stinky thing. Your works are dead. Your works are fruitless. Your works stink because you have no life in you. You have no breath in you. You have no ruach in you. And so he sent his servant by. He sent me by again to warn his people that we must wash before marriage. We must wash before marriage. We must wash. We must teshuvah. We must repent. We must turn from our sins. We must turn from uncleanness back to the Torah and allow the washing of the word to wash us. We must then be immersed in the Kadosh name of Yahushua HaMashiach. And then we must receive his breath of life. We must receive his ruach. We must be resurrected from the dead. And there's a great sealing going across the Arats. He is sealing his people. And he's making a great separation between the living and the dead. A great separation between the living and the dead, between the clean and the unclean, between the righteous and the unrighteous. But those who are living are very few in this season. Are very few. There's not many, because there's not much room on Mount Zion for everybody. And not everyone is going to live in this season. Most are going to come to life. In the next season, when the Mashiach comes back, most are going to come to life then. So he sent his servant by to say, we must wash before marriage. We must wash before marriage. And subtitled, wash now or wash later, Yahuwah. But you will be washed. Wash now or wash later, Yahuwah. But you will be washed. He has sent me to you, Yahuwah. He has sent me because he loves you. He loves you with an everlasting love, Yahuwah. He loved our fathers with an everlasting love, and he sent me to speak, to proclaim life to the four corners of the earth, to whomever would receive these words of life, these words of repentance. He sent me to you because your time is running out. Your time is running short. The dam, the proverbial dam, is getting ready to burst, and the proverbial flood waters, encased in Yahuwah's distress, is getting ready to pour out on this earth. His cup of wrath is getting ready to pour out on this earth. His cup is even tilted. It is tilted, and it is getting ready to be poured out upon this earth. And so this Feast of Weeks, this Shabu'ah, could very well be the house of Yahuwah's very last chance to receive his breath, to receive his Ruach, and enter into the bond of covenant with him. So if you're taking notes, the title of this teaching is Searching for the Ancient Path, Part 49. We must wash before marriage. Subtitled, Wash Now or Wash Later. But you will be washed, Yahuwah. You will be washed. You have no choice. Either you wash voluntarily or involuntarily, Yahuwah, but you're going to be washed. You're going to be washed. He also sent me by with another dire warning, and these are his words, Yahuwah. It makes no difference to me, Yahuwah, if you believe that the Master speaks to me, because he does speak to me. He speaks to me, and it makes no difference if you believe, if whether or not he does. That makes no difference. I'm his servant, and I simply must be obedient and speak the words that he has spoken to me to give to his people. These are his words, and if you want to write them down, you can write them down, but I encourage you to put them in quotations because they're not my words, they're his words. They are his words. Words that he spoke to his servant just this day. Is to sound the alarm. He said, sound the alarm. Sound the alarm. They must awake from their slumber. They must awake from their slumber. He said, they that slumber will die. They that slumber will die. Sound the alarm. They must awake from their slumber. They that slumber will die. To slumber means to sleep. Sleep is a Hebrew idiom that denotes death. It means to be dead. To go to sleep means to die. To slumber means to sleep. That means to be dead. Many of you are dead people. You're dead people. You're slumbering. You're dead. You're dead. You don't understand that you're dead. He sent his servant by this night to sound the alarm. He said they must awake from their slumber. They must awake from their sleep. They must rise from the dead. They that slumber will die. When he removes his breath, when he removes his ruach, when he turns off the water, when he turns off the living water, you will die. You will die. These are his words. You will die. And so line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, he sent his servant by. Wash now, wash later, Yahuwah. But you will be washed. You will be washed. We must wash before marriage. Either you wash now before Mount Zion, or you're going to be washed before the marriage supper of the Lamb, provided that you make it. Provided that you make it, and you're going to have to endure. YAHUAH'S distress, in order to make it to the marriage supper of the Lamb, you're going to have to endure great hardship. Great hardship. And you're going to have it very hard. All who have heard the words of the Master spoken from the mouth of his servant, you're going to have it very hard. Very hard, because you would not wash. You would not repent. You were lackadaisical. You were complacent. And you would not wash. You're going to have it very hard. Very, very hard. And many of you are going to die. Many of you are going to die. Many of you are going to die. But in this death, Yahuwah willing, you're going to be purged. You're going to be cleansed. You're going to be washed. You're going to be made fit for marriage. Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Ephesians chapter 5. Ephesians chapter 5. What verses, little one?
1 through 17.
Verses 1 through 17. Excuse me for a moment, beloved ones. I'll be right back. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 1 through 17. Without breath, without ruach, without life, you do not belong to the Master. He is not your Elohim. You are separated from him. You're separated outside of the camp. The breath, when the breath leaves the body, there's a separation. You die. When the Master removes his breath, his ruach, from this earth, death is coming. And many of you are indeed going to die. Many of you are indeed, you're going to die. But he's placed before us an open door. He's placed before us an open door. He says, behold, I stand at the door and knock, the door of your heart. If anyone opens, if you open your heart to let the Ruach in, he will come in and dine with you and sup with you and you with him and you and him. He's been proclaiming through the mouth of his servant for a while now, for quite some time now. This just didn't begin 5-6 weeks ago with respect to the Feast of Weeks, but he's been speaking these words of life through his servant now for a while. Some have taken heed. Most have not. Most have not. With many of you, it's still a game. It is still a game. You're not taking it serious. You still think that you have time, and many of you are going to die. You're going to die. You're playing Russian roulette with your lives. There is no guarantee that if you die in the great distress that you're going to rise in the first resurrection. You may arise in the second resurrection, where some are going to enter into life and some are going to enter into everlasting punishment. Because in the great distress, if you accept the mark of the beast, now listen, this mark is not something that's going to be simple or known that you're going to say, aha, I get it. No, the text declares that the whole world is going to be deceived by him. The entire world is going to be deceived by him, by death manifested, by the false Messiah, the false Mashiach. The whole entire world is going to be deceived by him. The text declares that many false Nabiim are going to arise, and they're going to perform many false life signs and wonders, and are going to deceive many, even the elect. Even the elect. And if you are deceived by him and you worship him, you have no life. There is no forgiveness of it. You will not arise in the first resurrection. You will arise in the second resurrection to the great judgment seat, the great white throne, and you will be cast into the eternal lake of fire. You will be cast into the second death, because indeed you are already dead. You are already dead. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 1 through 17, beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
Become then imitators of Elohim.
Become then imitators of Elohim. Read.
As beloved children.
As beloved children. If Elohim would not do it, why are you doing it? If he would not do it, why are you doing it? If he would not commit whoring, if he would not do some of the filth that you think is hidden, if he would not do it, why are you doing it? And if you are doing it, he is not your Elohim. He is not the Elohim of the dead. Hashatan is the Elohim of the dead. He is death. He is death. And he is the mighty one of the dead. If you are doing anything, if you're engaging in any activity that Elohim himself, that Yahuwah himself would not engage in, you're not his. You're dead. You are dead. You're a dead man. You're a dead woman. You're a dead stinking thing separated from him outside of the camp. And when he removes his breath, his ruach, his life from this earth, you're going to die. You're going to die because you refuse to allow the washing of the Torah to cleanse you. You refuse to align yourself with his righteous Torah and allow it to wash you through obedience to it. You think you're hidden. You think this is a game. You're complacent. And you're going to die. When he removes his breath from this earth, when he removes his ruach, you're going to die. You're going to die. Be ye imitators of him. If he wouldn't do it, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Come on, read, little one.
And walk in love as Mashiach also has loved us, and gave himself for us a gift and an offering to Elohim for a sweet-smelling fragrance. But whoring in all uncleanness.
But whoring in all uncleanness. But whoring in all uncleanness. What is uncleanness? Listen, to be unclean doesn't mean that you have to put your hand in bull dookie. Uncleanness is associated with any disobedience to Torah. Only Torah is clean. And if you are walking contrarily to Torah, that is uncleanness. That is whoring. That is whoring. Come on, read, little one.
Or greed of gain, let it not even be named among you, as is proper among Kadosh ones. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor coarse gesturing.
Neither filthiness or foolish talking. Neither filthiness or foolish talking. Why are you talking like the nations? Why are you speaking like the Gentiles? Because you're one of them. You are dead just like them. The nations are dead. The Gentiles are dead. They are walking dead, walking outside of covenant with the Master, having no breath, having no ruach, having no life. They are outside of the camp and outside of the dwelling place of YAHUAH'S. And you are one of them. Put away your filthiness, your coarse jesting, and your filthy talk. You're no different than the Gentiles. You're dead just like them. Come on, read, little one.
Which are not fitting, but rather thanksgiving. For this you know, that no one who whores,
That no one who whores, read,
nor unclean one,
nor unclean one. Many of you are unclean. You're dead. The dead are unclean. And many of you are dead. No one who whores. And no one dead, no unclean one shall what?
Nor one greedy of gain, who is an idolater, has any inheritance in the reign of Mashiach and Elohim.
You're dead. And you're going to enter into the second death. And you're going to die in this season. You're going to die, thus says Yahuwah. You're going to die. Read.
Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these the wrath of Elohim comes upon the sons of disobedience.
It is being kindled right now as we speak. His wrath is even at the door. Read.
Therefore do not become partakers with them, for you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Master. Walk as children of the light, for the fruit of the root is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, proving what is well-pleasing to the Master, and having no fellowship with the fruitless works of darkness, but rather convicted them. For it is shame even to speak of what is done by them in secret. By all matters being convicted are manifested by the light, for whatever is manifested is light. That is why he says, wake up, you who sleep, and arise from the dead.
Awake, oh sleeper. I told you to sleep is a Hebrew idiom, meaning to be dead. And you are dead. The Master has sent me by with this warning, sound the alarm. Awake from your slumber. They that slumber will die. Awake, O sleeper. Awake, O sleeper. Arise from the dead. Read, little one.
And Mashiach shall shine on you.
And the Mashiach shall shine on you. And HaMashiach shall shine on you. Hear him. Hear him. Shabuah, the Feast of Weeks, is all about the renewing of his breath. It's all about the renewing of the covenant of life. It is all about the outpouring of his ruach, of his breath, of life. And this Shabuah, this Feast of Weeks, may be your very last chance to arise from the dead. To arise from the dead and receive life. And perhaps be kept from the hour of trial, which is even at the door, which is coming to try the whole world, which is better known as YAHUAH'S distress. YAHUAH'S distress. He's getting ready to remove his breath. Hear him. He's getting ready to remove his breath. He's getting ready to remove his ruach. Before darkness, before death, before lawlessness can come, before the kingdom of darkness can come to this earth, he must first remove his breath. He must first remove life. He must first remove wind. He must first remove his ruach. He must first turn off the living water. He must first remove the light in order for darkness to prevail. And he is getting ready to do so. It baffles me. It literally baffles me how his people are so complacent and how his people take this as just a light thing. You're going to die. You're going to die because you refuse to be washed. He's going to remove his breath, his ruach, life, and you are going to die. Wash now, or wash later, Yaakov, but you will be washed. Yes, we must wash before marriage. We must wash before marriage. Wash now, or wash later, but you will be washed. Revelation chapter 6. Revelation chapter 6. Revelation chapter 6, verses 1 through 7. Revelation, Kazum. Kazum. Revelation, Kazum, chapter 6, verses 1 through 7. Kazum, Revelation chapter 6, verses 1 through 7. Recognize the season, O sleeper. Awake, arise from your slumber, arise from your sleep. Rise from the dead. And Mashiach shall give you life. He shall give you light. Beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard one of the 4 living creatures saying,
Listen, Yahaku, these words are to you. From Barashif to Kazum, from Genesis to Revelation, these words are written to you. They're not written to the nations. Judgment must first come to the house of Yasha'al, then into the nations. These words are for you. They're for you, Yahaku, wherever you are. Across the 4 corners of the Araz, who are listening under the sound of my voice, these words are written to you. Watch now, watch later, but you will be washed. Read, little one.
Like a sound of thunder, come
Yes.
and see.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked, and I saw a white horse, and he who sat on it holding a bow. And a crown was given to him, and he went out overcoming and to overcome. And when he opened the second seal, I heard the second living creature saying, Come and see. And another horse, fiery red, went out, and it was given to the one who sat on it to take shalom from the earth, and that they should slay one another. And a great sword was given to him. And when he opened the 3rd seal, I heard the 3rd living creature say, Come and see. And I looked, and I saw a black horse, and he was sat on it holding a pair of scales in his hands. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 living creatures saying, A measure of wheat for a denarius, and 3 measures of barley for a denarius, and do not harm the oil and the wine. And when he opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th living creature saying,
Listen, read.
Come and see.
Uh-huh. Read.
That's 1 through 7, 6, 1 through 7.
Read verse 8. I'm sorry.
It's okay. And I looked and saw a green horse, and he who sat on it had the name Death and Sheol. Followed with him, and authority was given to them over 1/4 of the earth to kill with sword and with hunger and with death and by the beast of the earth. That's 8.
Barak Yahuwah. Death is coming to the earth. Death is coming. Death is coming in 1/4 of the earth. 1/4 of Yahaku is going to die. It's going to die due to death, due to disease, due to famine, due to sword, and due to wild beasts of the field. But in this, Yahaku shall be purged, shall be cleansed, shall be washed. In this, Yahaku, out of distress, many of Yahaku will be delivered, but many of Yahaku will die. Many of Yahaku will die. Death is judgment. Death indeed is judgment. That is a judgment being carried out. Either you die now. Either you die now and be raised to life in Ruach. Either you die now or you die during the fires of the great tribulation. Either you wash now or you wash later, Yaakov. But you shall be washed. But you shall be washed. Death is coming. Death, when he removes his breath from this earth, death is coming. Death is coming. Revelation chapter 9. Revelation chapter 9. What verses, little one?
13 to 15.
Verses 13 through 15. Revelation chapter 9. Verses 13 through 15. Revelation chapter 9, verses 13 through 15. In Revelation 6, verse 7 and 8, we learn that 1/4, 1/4 of the earth is going to die. It's going to die. 1/4 of YAHUAH'S is going to die due to disease, due to famine, due to sword, and due to wild beasts of the field. 1/4, 1/4 of the earth is going to die. 1/4 of YAHUAH'S is going to die. Wash now, wash later, but you're going to be washed. But you're going to be washed. When he removes his breath, when he removes his ruach, when he removes life, death will come. Death will come to this earth. You have an opportunity to receive life, to receive ruach, to receive living water right now, but you must be washed. You must be washed. You can't approach him with uncleanness upon you. You can't approach him trying to hide your filth. You must be washed of your filth before he will give you breath, before he will give you life. You must be washed. Revelation 9, verses 13 through 15. Beginning at verse 13. Read, little one.
And the sixth messenger sounded.
Yes.
And I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden slaughter place, which is before Elohim, saying to the sixth messenger, who had the trumpet, release the four messengers, those having been bound at the great river Euphrates.
Release the four messengers, those having been bound at the great river Euphrates. Read.
And the four messengers, those having been prepared for the hour and day and month and year, were released to kill 1/3 of mankind.
To kill 1/3. Revelation 6, 1/4 dies. Revelation 9, 1/3 dies. Death is coming. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. When he removes his breath, when he removes his ruach, in which he must do in order for the reign of darkness to reign, when he removes life, death is going to manifest on this earth. And the earth is going to enter into a time and a season unlike it has ever seen before and unlike it will ever see again. But he has sent his servant by to warn the house of YAHUAH'S. Sound the alarm, awake from your slumber. They that slumber will die. They that slumber will die. This is no ordinary Feast of Weeks. This is no ordinary Shabuah. This is no ordinary season. This is no ordinary time. This is a Muadah. Indeed, this is a Jubilee year. This is a Jubilee. This is the 50th year. This is no ordinary season. Awake from your slumber. They that slumber will die. Awake from your slumber. Arise from the dead, and Hamashiach will give you light. Read, little one.
Revelation 7, 1 through 8.
Revelation chapter 7. Revelation chapter 7, verses 1 through 8. In Revelation 6, we learn that 1/4 of the earth is going to die due to famine and due to disease and due to sword and due to wild beasts of the earth. Revelation 9, 4 messengers were released who were held for the appointed time of wrath. They are released and they are going to kill 1/3 of mankind. They themselves are going to kill 1/3 of mankind because death is being released. Death is being released. But what happened? What happens before death has been released upon the earth? There is something that happens. Now, following Revelation 6, Revelation 6 is an index, if you will, of things, of events that are going to come upon the earth during the hour of trial. Not necessarily in sequential order, but of things that are coming upon the earth. Revelation 9, we read of devils, of the pit being opened and devils coming up from under the ground, from out of the pit. We read then of 4 messengers that are unleashed upon the earth. 4 messengers that are released in order to slay an additional 1/3 of man, an additional 1/3 of YAHUAH'S. Indeed, if those days are not shortened, no flesh shall remain. But what must occur? What must occur in order for this to happen? What must occur in order for this to take place? Let's go to Revelation 7. Revelation 7, We're going to read verses 1 through 8. Revelation 7. And we're going to read verses 1 through 8. Beginning at verse 1. Come on, read for us, little one.
And after this, I saw 4 messengers.
And after this, and after what has been chronologized in Revelation 6, what was just spoken in Revelation 6, Revelation 7 follows. After this, what happens, little one?
Standing at the 4 corners of the
I
earth.
saw 4 messengers standing at the 4 corners of the earth. Listen here, read.
Holding the 4 winds of the earth.
Holding the 4 winds of the earth, read.
That the wind should not blow on the earth.
That the wind should not blow on the earth. The wind is not going to blow. He's going to remove the wind. He's going to remove his breath. He's going to remove ruach. But before he removes breath, ruach, wind, life, which death is going to precede this. What does he do, little one?
Nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another messenger coming up from the rising of the sun.
Yes.
Holding the seal of the living Elohim.
Yes.
And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 messengers to whom it was given to harm the earth and the sea, saying,
the seal of the living Elohim is his Ruach HaKadosh. Breath, wind, life. This is the seal of the living Elohim. He lives. And his seal is life. His seal is life upon his living ones. His seal is not amongst the dead. Here, the wind is not going to blow no more. It ain't going to blow. It's going to be removed from the earth. Breath, wind, ruach. Ruach means wind. It means breath. It means spirit. It's going to be removed from the earth. And where there is no breath, there is no life. This death follows this. And death is coming to this earth, Yahuwah. It's coming to you. It's coming to you first. It's coming to you first because a covenant was made with us, with our fathers. A covenant was made with us, whether you adhere to it or not. A covenant was made for us. And here's the proclamation to you. You can voluntarily wash, or you can involuntarily be washed later. But you will be washed. You will be washed. Don't harm the earth or the sea or the trees. He speaks this to the 4 messengers who are holding back the wind. Who are holding back the wind so that it would not blow on the earth and on the trees. Understand. Open your spiritual eyes and understand what's being read here. When the wind no longer blows, when there's no breath, when there's no wind, when there's no ruach, there's no life, death is coming. Death is coming. But he says here, before you do this, seal my people. Seal them with the seal of the living Elohim, which is life, which is breath, which is wind, which is ruach, which is what the Feast of Weeks, Shavuot, is all about. The renewing of the covenant of life, the outpouring of breath, of wind, and of life. Come on, read, little one.
Do not harm the earth, nor the sea, nor the trees, until we have sealed the servants of our Elohim upon their foreheads. And I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000, sealed out of all the tribes of the children of Yasharal. Of the tribe of Yehuda, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Rabba'an, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Gad, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Asher, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Naphtali, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Manasseh, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Shemaun, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Lewi, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Yashakar, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Zabaloon, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Yehusaph, 12,000 were sealed. Of the tribe of Benjamin, 12,000 were sealed.
There's only so much room on Mount Zion. How dare you be complacent? How dare you be complacent and not take this hour and this season seriously. I dare you try to hide your filth and your uncleanness. I dare you to try to drink from the cup of demons and the cup of the master. How dare you take this so lightly? There is only so much room on Mount Zion. There is only so many who are being sealed with the breath of the living Elohim as we speak, as he goes to the four corners of the earth to seal his chosen ones, to give them his breath, to give them wind, to give them life in this season, and to bring them into the bond of covenant, preparing to bring them into the ark of the covenant, to usher them to Mount Zion. And he has sent his servant to all whom have eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand. He has sent his servant to gather his people from the four corners of the earth, to bring them on board the ark of the covenant, to receive life, breath, ruach, and to be brought to Mount Zion, where we will be given a song that no one else can sing, where we will be kept from the hour of trial, from YAHUAH'S distress, which is even at the door knocking, that is soon coming to try the whole earth. That is soon coming to try the whole earth. He's getting ready to remove breath, wind, life. You just read it. You just heard it. He's going to remove his breath, his wind, life. He's going to remove ruach from the earth. He's going to remove ruach from the earth. You have no more time. You have no more time. You're on borrowed time. You have no more time. He's getting ready to remove breath, wind, and ruach, and he sent his servant by. Thus says Yahuwah, sound the alarm. Awake from your slumber. They that slumber will die. Will die. We began this journey with respect to Shabuah 7 weeks ago. 7 weeks ago. Some have taken it seriously. Most have not. Most of you, you think that you can hide your filth. You think that you can hide your uncleanness. You think that you're alive, but you're dead. And the master has given his servant eyes to see you. I see dead people. And you're not going to know that you are dead until the very end. You're not going to know that you are separated from the master. He is separated from death. He has nothing to do with death. When his breath leaves the body, it dies. When his breath leaves the body, there is a separation. There is a separation. He is not the Elohim of the dead. He is the Elohim of the living. If you are alive in him, even if you drop dead right now, you are not dead, you are alive. You are alive. Even if you drop dead right now, if you are living, you are not dead, you are alive. And there will be no separation between you and him. No separation between you and him. Do you understand? Death denotes separation. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Those who are alive, even if we die right now, there is no separation between us and Yahuwah. But those who are dead, there is a separation. And even in death, there will be, even when your body goes to hell, when it goes to the grave, and when your soul goes to the place of darkness, that denotes separation. Separation between Elohim and you. He is not the Elohim of the dead, but of the living. But of the living. He's getting ready to move breath. Some of you still don't quite understand what these words mean. That he's getting ready to cut off breath, wind, ruach, life. Let's give him another precept, little one. John 3.
1 through 8.
YAHUAH'S chapter 3. John 3. John chapter 3, YAHUAH'S chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. John, YAHUAH'S chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. John chapter 3, YAHUAH'S verses 1 through 8. Wash now, wash later, but you're going to be washed. Teshuvah, repent, turn from your filth, turn from your uncleanness, turn from your wickedness, turn from your Torahlessness, back to Torah. And be washed by the washing of the word. be immersed in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach for the forgiveness of your crimes, and receive breath, receive life, receive Ruach as you are resurrected from the dead. As the Spirit, as the Ruach raises you to life, receive breath, receive life, receive Ruach, and be brought back into the bond of covenant with him. Beginning at verse 1, John, Yahuchanan chapter 3, read, little one.
And there was a man of the Pharisees, Noctamun was his name, a ruler of the Yahudim. This one came to Yahushua by night and said to him, Rabbi, we know that you are a teacher come from Elohim, for no one is able to do these signs you do if Elohim is not with him. Yahushua answered and said to him, Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born from above, he is unable to see the reign of Elohim. Noctamun said to him, How is a man able to be born when he is old? Is he able to enter into his mother's womb a second time and be born? Yahushua answered, Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born of water and of the Ruach, he is unable to enter into the reign of Elohim. That which has been born of the flesh is flesh, and that which has been born of the Ruach is Ruach. Do not marvel that I said to you, you have been born from above.
Listen.
The wind blows where it wishes.
The wind blows where it wishes, read.
And you hear the sound of it.
And you hear the sound of it.
But do not know where it comes from.
But do not know where it comes from.
And where it goes.
And where it goes.
So is everyone who has been born of the Ruach.
So is everyone who has been born of Ruach. You don't know. You don't know where, how, and when the Ruach, the wind, the breath of life, spirit is going to come upon you. But Ruach is breath, it is wind, it is spirit, it is life. Without breath, without wind, you have no life in you. You're dead. You're dead man walking, you're dead woman walking. Without breath, without wind, without Ruach, you have no life in you. You have no life in you. The Ruach is literally breath. He is literally wind. He is life. The Ruach gives life. The flesh profits nothing. The flesh profits nothing. And he is getting ready to remove breath, to remove wind, to remove life from the earth. And when he does so, death is going to manifest. And this is the importance of this coming Feast of Weeks, this coming Shabua'u, which denotes the renewing of the everlasting covenant of life. It is the outpouring of breath. It is the outpouring of wind. It is the outpouring of life. It is the bringing of his people, of Adam, mankind, back into covenant with him. Line by line, precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. Wash now, wash later, Yahuwah. But you shall be washed. Give us another precept, little one.
Revelation 7, 9 through 17.
Revelation 7. We're going back now to Revelation 7. And we're going to read now verses 9 through 17. Wash now, wash later, Yahuwah, but you're going to be washed. But you're going to be washed. Verses 1 through 8, we read about how 144,000 was sealed with breath, with wind, with Ruach, with life, with the seal of the living Elohim. He is alive, he is living, he is breath, he is wind, he is life. 144,000 was sealed with the breath, with the wind, with Ruach, with life, with the Ruach of the living Elohim in verses 1 through 8. Revelation 7 now, verses 9 through 17. What happens to the rest who were not sealed, who would not wash themselves now, who would not wash now, and who would not receive breath, who would not receive wind, who would not receive Ruach, who would not receive life now? What happens to them? Wash now, Yahuwah, or wash later, but you're going to be washed. Verses 9 through 17, beginning at verse 9 of Revelation chapter 7. Read, little one.
After this I looked and saw a great crowd, which no one was able to count.
When no one was able to count, a great throng, a great army, as read in Ezekiel chapter 36, a great throng, a great army that no one could count. Indeed, these can't all go to Mount Zion. There's only so much room there. There's only so many who are going to be kept from the hour of trial. Come on, read, little one.
Out of all nations and tribes and peoples and tongues.
Out of all nations, tribes, and peoples and tongues. This is Ephraim. This is the completeness of the nations. This is the house of Yasha'al. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is Yahakub. Out of the great distress, yes, Yahakub shall be saved. Come on, read, little one.
Standing before the throne and before the Lamb.
Standing before the throne and before the Lamb. Read.
Dressed in white robes and palm branches in their hands.
Dressed in white robes with palm branches in their hands. Read.
And crying out with a loud voice, saying, deliverance belongs to our Elohim,
yes,
who sits on the throne,
yes,
and to the Lamb.
Yes.
And all the messengers stood around the throne, and the elders and the 4 living creatures, and fell on their faces before the throne and worshipped Elohim, saying, Amen. The blessing and the esteem and the wisdom and the thanksgiving and the respect and the power and the might to our Elohim forever and ever. Amen. And one of the elders responded, saying to me, who are these dressed in white robes, and where did they come from?
Who are these dressed in white robes, and where did they come from? Where did they come from, little one?
And I said to him, Master, you know. And he said to me, these are those coming out of the great distress.
These are those coming out of Yahakub's trouble, out of the great distress. Read.
Having washed their robes.
Having what?
Washed their robes.
Having what?
Washed their robes.
Having washed their robes. Wash now, Jacob, Yahakub, or wash later. But you're going to be washed. You will be washed. Voluntarily or involuntarily, you will be washed. Wash now or be washed in the fires or through the fires of the great distress, but you're going to be washed. Read, little one.
And made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Because of this, they are before the throne of Elohim, and serve him day and night in his dwelling place. And he who sits on the throne shall spread his tent over them. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun strike them, nor any heat, because the Lamb who was in the midst of the throne shall shepherd them and lead them to fountains of waters of life.
Then you're going to get life, Yahakub, after death. Life only comes after death. Then you will receive life, Yahakub, after you have been washed in the fires of the great tribulation. And this is going to be a time unlike the earth has ever seen before. Do not take this lightly. Many are not going to make it out of the great distress because you're going to be deceived by the false Mashiach that is coming. And you're not going to make it out. But his sin is served by with a simple plea. Teshuvah now. Repent now. Turn back to Torah. Be washed in the washing of the word. If the master would not engage in a behavior, why are you engaging in it? Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? You think he doesn't see you? He sees all your nakedness. He sees all your filth. Wash now or wash later, but you shall be washed. Come on, read, little one.
And Elohim shall wipe away every tear from their eyes. And we have Daniel 12.
Wash now or wash later, but you shall be washed. You shall be washed. He desires for his people, for his chosen ones, for the apple of his eye, for his treasured possession. He desires for us, for his people, to be washed now, to awake from our slumber, so that we will not die, so that we will not be left to the hour of trial. He has not reserved us for wrath. He has not reserved his children of the day, his children of light, for wrath. He desires for us to come back to him in the bond of covenant, to be washed now, to be immersed in the name of the Yahushua HaMashiach for the forgiveness of crime, thus being impaled with the Messiah and being buried with him and being raised to the newness of life, being resurrected by spirit, by Ruach, being raised to life, being put to death in the flesh, but raised to life in Ruach. In Ruach. He desires this for us. He desires this for us. But his word is to you, Yahakub. Wash now or wash later, but you shall be washed. Daniel chapter 12. Daniel chapter 12. Daniel chapter 12. Line upon line, precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. Wash now, wash later, but you shall be washed. Daniel chapter 12. Daniel chapter 12. Someone needs to mute your mic. Someone needs to mute your mic. Daniel chapter 12, Dunny All, chapter 12. In its entirety, beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
Now at that time, Maka'al shall
Now,
stand up.
at that time, and we're going to talk about that time, not here, but down below here when we read the next precept, we're going to talk about that time in which Daniel is speaking of. At that time, Mika'al shall stand up, read.
The great head who is standing over the sons of your people.
The great head who is standing over the sons of your people. At that time, Mika'al shall stand up, that great head who is standing over the sons of your people. Read.
And there shall be a time of distress.
And there shall be a time of distress. After Mika'al has stood up, after he has stood up, something happens. And we're going to speak about this below. Something happens when Mika'al stands up. After he stands up, an hour of trial comes. The great distress comes to the earth. Read.
Such as never was seen since then there was a nation.
Since that's never been seen since Yasha'al was a nation. Read.
Until that time.
Until that time. Read.
And at that time your people shall be delivered.
And at that time your people shall be delivered in accordance with the scriptures, in accordance with Jeremiah chapter 30, in accordance with Matthew chapter 24. At YAHUAH'S shall be saved out of distress. Out of distress. The majority of the house of Yasha'al is going to be washed in the fires of the great tribulation. The majority of Yasha'al is going to be washed in the fires of the great tribulation. There's only a small remnant within the remnant who is being washed right now, who is serious about this, and are being washed right now. Read, little one.
Everyone who is found written in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth wake up. Some to everlasting life.
Yes.
And some to reproaches, everlasting abhorrence.
Mm-hmm.
And those who have insight shall shine like the brightness of the expanse.
Mm-hmm.
And those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever.
Mm-hmm.
But you, Daniel, hide the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Many shall diligently search, and knowledge shall increase.
Mm-hmm.
Then I, Daniel, looked and saw two others standing, one on this bank of the river and the other on that bank. And one said to the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, how long until the end of these wonders?
Listen.
And I heard the man dressed in linen, who was above the waters of the river, and he held up his right hand and his left hand to the heavens, and swore by him who lives forever, that it would be for an appointed times and a half time. And when they had ended scattering the power of the Kadush ones, then all these shall be completed. And I heard, but I did not understand. So I said, my master, what is the latter end of these matters? And he said, go, Daniel, for the words are hidden and sealed to the time of the end.
Daniel, for these words are sealed and hidden until the time of the end. They're no longer hidden. They're no longer hidden. We know that this speaks to 3.5 years that YAHUAH'S is going to be distressed. That YAHUAH'S is going to be washed and purged and cleansed in preparation for the marriage. In preparation for the marriage feast of the Lamb. You're going to be washed, YAHUAH'S. One way or another, you're going to be washed. Either you're going to be washed now, or you're going to be washed in the fires of the great tribulation. But you're going to be washed. You're going to be washed before marriage. Either way, you're going to be washed before marriage. You must be washed before marriage. And either way, you're going to be washed. Either now or in the fires of the great tribulation. But you're going to be washed. Come on, read, little one.
Many shall be cleansed.
Listen.
And made white.
Many shall be cleansed. And what?
And made white.
And made white.
And refined.
And refined. You can stop right there. And refined. You can wash now, YAHUAH'S. Or you can wash later. But you will be washed. We must be washed before marriage. We must be washed before marriage. He desires for us to be washed now. But it makes no difference to him. if you are washed in the fires of the great tribulation, because he cares nothing for the flesh. He desires for your souls to be saved, Yahuwah. He desires for your souls to be saved. But while you are suffering in the fires of the great distress, you're going to wonder if the Master loves you. When his voice is no longer heard in the earth, when the breath is no longer being poured out, you're going to wonder. You're going to wonder then if he truly loves you as you're running and you're fleeing from thick grove to thick grove and hiding in thick clothes of rocks. As you are running for your lives, you're going to wonder. You're going to wonder. As these plagues beat down, as the sun shines so hot and blisters men, and men began to curse the Master, as these Shadaim, commonly called demons, are unleashed upon the earth, they began to sting men. You're going to wonder, Yahuwah, if the Master loves you. And you're going to have to endure this for 3.5 years, because you would not heed, you would not hear the word of his servant, to turn from your lawlessness, to turn back to Torah and allow the washing of the word to wash you, to be immersed in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, and to be resurrected to the newness of life, to die to the flesh, but to be raised to life in the spirit, to receive breath, life, and to be brought back into the covenant of life with him. Shavuot is 4 days away. Feast of Weeks is 4 days away. And he wants to pour out his breath. He wants to pour out wind. He wants to pour out ruach. He wants to raise you from the dead. He wants to cause you to live. He wants to cause you to live, but you must be clean. You must be washed. You must be clean. If you're not clean, he will reject you. He will reject you. Up above in Daniel 12, it spoke of, it said in the first verse that at this time, at what time? At this appointed time we're getting ready to talk about now. At this appointed time, Michael, that great head who is over your people, shall stand up. He shall stand up. Afterward it says, after he stands up, your people are going to be distressed. Your people are going to be distressed. There are truths, there are mysteries that are being made known to us now that were not made known to our ancestors, that he's given us insight of, to prepare us to be brought into the bond of covenant with us, and in order to keep us from the hour of trial, he is revealing these secrets to us in this time and in this season. And those who wrote the so-called Biblos, the so-called Bible, who did not have our well-being in their high regard, thought it amusing to hide truths right in plain sight. Right in plain sight. And so Daniel 12, its precept is witnessed by Revelation 12. 12 and 12. Yes, it does. Yes, it is. Hidden right in plain sight. We're getting ready to understand what happens when Michael, that great head over the house of Yasha'al, stands up, and why great distress follows that time. Why great distress follows that time. Revelation 12, turn there. Revelation 12. Turn there. Turn there. Revelation 12. Revelation 12, beginning at verse 1. Come on and read for us, little one.
And a great sign was seen in the heaven. A woman clad with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars.
This woman is the nation of Yasha'al. Read. This is the remnant of Yasha'al. Read.
And being pregnant, she cried out in labor, and in pain to give birth. And another sign was seen in the heaven, and see a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns,
yes,
and 7 crowns on his head,
yes,
and his tail draws a third of the stars of the heaven, and throws them down to earth.
And throws them down to the earth. Read.
And the dragon stood before the woman who was about to give birth.
And the dragon stood before the woman the remnant within the remnant. Read.
To devour her child as soon as it was born. And she bore a male child.
Yahushua HaMashiach. Read.
Who was to shepherd all nations with a rod of iron.
Yes.
And her child was called away to Elohim into his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness. You think that all of the house of Yasha'al is going to the wilderness, is going to Mount Zion? No. You see, there's nothing new under the sun. Yes, this is a journey. A wilderness journey on the way to a mountain. No different than the first time when he spoke to Masha on that mountain, on Mount Sinai, which represents a covenant of flesh. Yes, it does. Which represents a covenant of flesh. He says, this is the sign that when you have brought my people out of Egypt, out of Masraim, they shall worship me on this mountain. Mount Zion is not a covenant of flesh. It is a covenant of life. The flesh profits nothing. It is a covenant of life. It is a covenant of breath. It is a covenant of ruach. It is a covenant of shalom. It is a covenant of shalom. It has nothing to do with the flesh. The flesh profits nothing. But this is being mirrored. This is happening. This is happening. But those here, what is spoken of in Revelation 12, these are not those who are in a covenant of flesh. These are those who are in a covenant of life, who haven't been sealed by the seal of the living Elohim. On their way, following the footsteps of our ancestors to Mount Zion, where we will be given a song that no one else can sing. And just as Hashatan chased our ancestors out of Egypt the first time, yes, he did. He chased them out of Egypt the first time, and he tried to overcome them by water. Yes, he did. But he was not able to overcome them because Yahuwah was with our ancestors, and he is going to be with his chosen ones, those who have the seal of the living Elohim upon their forehead. Come on, keep reading, little one. Where she has a place prepared by Elohim to be nourished 1,260 days.
3.5 years. Come on, read, little one.
And there came to be fighting in the heaven.
Yes.
Michael and his messengers fought against the dragon. And the dragon and his messengers fought.
Listen, Michael, this is where Michael, the great head, stands up. This is what he stands up to do. To go to war against Hashatan and his hosts. Many of you have heard this before, and you understand that Hashatan is the prince of the power of the air. He is still the accuser of the brethren. He still goes before the throne of the master to accuse the brethren day and night. He is the prince of the power of the air. He still rules the lower Shamayim. He has not been cast down to the earth yet. He is not here. He has not been cast down yet. So there in Daniel 12 with Michael, that great head stands up. He stands up to go to war against Hashatan and his hosts. Read, little one.
But they were not strong enough, nor was a place found for them in the heaven and the
Hashatan and his hosts were not strong enough to overcome them, as there was not a place found for them in the lower Shamayim anymore. Read, little one.
And the great dragon was thrown out, the serpent of old called the devil, and Hashatan, who leads all the world astray.
Yes.
He was thrown to the earth, and his messengers were thrown out with him.
He was thrown to the earth, and his messengers were thrown out with him. When Hashatan is thrown to this earth, when he comes, death is going to manifest. He is death. Yahuwah is life. He is death. When he is thrown to the earth, death is going to become flesh. He's going to manifest as the false Mashiach. And death is going to come to this earth when he is thrown to this earth. When that battle occurs between Michael, our great head, who stands over the sons of Yasha'al. When he fights with Hashatan and his messengers and overcomes them and throws them down to the earth, the hour of distress will begin. Death will come to this earth. Here we see breath, wind, ruach now being removed. As breath, wind, ruach is being removed, his remnant here within the remnant is being removed simultaneously with it. In order for death to reign, life must flee. Breath, ruach, wind must flee. When he is thrown down, breath, life, wind leaves. And when it leaves, his people who have the seal of the living Elohim, who are alive and who are not dead, they are removed simultaneously. Simultaneously. Read, little one.
And I heard a loud voice saying in the heaven, Now have come the deliverance and the power and the reign of our Elohim, and the authority of his Mashiach, for the accuser of our brothers who accused them before our Elohim day and night.
For the accuser of our brothers who accused them day and night. I told you, he's still doing this. He's still doing this right now, to this day, to this very hour. He has not been cast down yet. When he's cast down, the hour of distress will come. Death will come to this earth. Death will come. Breath, wind, ruach will leave. Life will leave. And death will come. Read, little one.
And they overcame him because of the blood of the Lamb and because of the word of their witnesses. And they did not love their lives to death. Because of this, rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. Woe to the earth and the sea.
Woe to the earth and the sea. Read.
Because the devil has come down to you.
Because the devil has come down to you.
Having great wrath, knowing that he has little time.
He has 3.5 years to create havoc, to create complete chaos, distress, disorder, and darkness and death upon the earth. He has 3.5 years to do so, and he's going to take full advantage of the time. Full advantage of the time. Death is going to be accelerated, unlike the earth has ever seen before, nor unlike the earth will ever see again. Read, little one.
And when the dragon saw that he had been thrown to earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child. And the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle.
Yes.
To fly into the wilderness to a place where she is nourished for a time and times and a half time.
3.5 years, the time of the great distress. Read.
From the presence of the serpent. And out of his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river after the woman.
No different than the first time when Hashatan, who is Pharaoh, yes he is the Pharaoh of Egypt. When Egypt chased our ancestors the first time and he tried to overcome our ancestors by the water, Pharaoh here is trying to do it again. He spewed water, but what happened, little one?
To cause her to be swept away by the river. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened his mouth and swallowed up the river.
Just as the Red Sea split, the earth is going to open up and swallow up the water. Read.
Which the dragon has spewed out his mouth. And the dragon was enraged with the woman.
And the dragon was enraged now with the remnant within the remnant, with those who have the seal of the living Elohim, those who are alive, who have breath, who have wind, who have ruach, who have life. He was enraged because he could not destroy them. You see, the dead have no power over the living. They have no power over the living. Hashatan is dead. He's already dead. Demons are dead. Fallen messengers are already dead. There is no repentance for them. They're dead. They have no power over the living. When he could not overcome the living, he got angry because he could not overcome those who were sealed with the seal of the living Elohim, which is life, which is breath, which is wind, which is ruach. Now, breath, life, ruach, wind is being removed from the earth. And the hour of trial is about to begin. The hour of distress, the great distress, YAHUAH'S distress, is now about to begin. Line by line, precept upon precept, the master has established that the majority of the house of YAHUAH is not going to be delivered until the distress ends. Out of distress, YAHUAH shall be saved. Out of distress, YAHUAH shall be saved. But he has sent me to speak to a small remnant, a very small remnant. Whoever has ears to hear and a heart to receive, he has sent me to gather you from the 4 corners of the YAHUAH'S, to receive life, to receive breath and wind, and to be kept from the hour of trial, to be brought to his mountain, his Kadosh mountain, to be given a song that no one else can sing, to be presented as a wave offering, first fruits before our master, well-pleasing, well-acceptable unto him. Read, little one.
And he went to fight with the remnant.
Go back just a little bit, little one, after he got angry.
Okay. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the river which the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to fight with the remnant of her seed.
He went to fight with YAHUAH'S. Now YAHUAH'S distress begins. After his sealed ones are safe, as he removes breath, wind, ruach, and his sealed ones simultaneously are moved as Hashatan, as death is cast to the earth, he then goes to fight with YAHUAH'S, the remnant of her seed, and YAHUAH'S distress now begins. Those who wouldn't wash, who wouldn't heed these words, who tried to hide your filth, your uncleanness, who would not operate in perfection, now he is coming for you. Now he is coming to persecute the remnant of this woman's seed. He is coming to persecute YAHUAH'S. And the hour of distress is now about to begin for 3.5 years. Come on, read, little one.
Those guarding the commands of Elohim.
Those guarding the commands of Elohim.
And possessing the witness of Yahushua Mashiach.
And possessing the witness of Yahushua HaMashiach. This is YAHUAH'S. This is YAHUAH'S. And now YAHUAH'S distress begins. Now death has come to the earth. Death has come to the earth. He's been thrown to the earth. Death has come to earth. Now, in the next chapter, Revelation 13, death is getting ready to put on flesh. He's getting ready to manifest in flesh. He's getting ready to put on flesh now. Death is getting ready to manifest in flesh. In Revelation 13, Hashatan is getting ready to take on flesh. He's getting ready to enter into Nimrod, the beast, who represents him, who is his son, who is going to be resurrected. He's getting ready to enter him, and death is getting ready to manifest as Hashatan takes on flesh. It has already been revealed to you that the earth has been given to flesh and blood. It has been given to flesh and blood. This realm has been given to flesh and blood. It has not been given to Ruach. It has been given to flesh and blood. Thus, Yahuwah himself needs flesh and blood in order to operate in the earthly realm. He himself obeys legalities. He himself does not cross the line of legalities. He understands that the earth has been given to flesh, and he uses flesh in order to carry out his will in the earth. When Hashatan puts on flesh, he will carry out his will in this earth. And the earth is going to enter a time unlike it has ever seen before. Bodies piled on top of bodies. Widespread death. Widespread persecution. Widespread cleansing. Widespread purging. When the breath, when ruach, when life is removed and death manifests in flesh, the earth is going to enter into a time unlike it has ever seen before, nor unlike it shall ever see again. He is going to operate in great signs and wonders because he's going to have a right to, because he's going to be in flesh. He's going to be able to control the elements. He's going to be able to cause the sun to rise and fall, cause the moon to forget its laws. He's going to be able to do things unlike the earth has ever seen before. And the earth is going to marvel as we're getting ready to read. The earth is going to marvel. And many are going to be deceived. Many who call themselves YAHUAH'S are going to be deceived into thinking that he is the Mashiach because of the nature and the greatness of the signs and wonders that he's going to operate in, because he's going to take on flesh. Death is going to manifest in flesh once breath, life, ruach, is removed from the earth. Once life is removed, death comes. The opposite of life comes. Again, as Yahuwah is life, he is death. As Yahuwah is light, he is darkness. As Yahuwah is righteousness, he is unrighteousness. Revelation 13. Revelation 13. Beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
And I stood on the sand of the sea,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw a beast coming up out of the sea.
This is the beast. This is the beast. This is Nimrod coming up out of the sea. Read.
Having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Uh-huh.
And on his horns 10 crowns.
Uh-huh.
and on his heads names of blasphemy. And the beast I saw was like a leopard.
Yes.
And his feet were like the feet of a bear.
Yes.
And his mouth like the mouth of a lion.
Yes.
And the dragon gave him his power and his throne and great authority.
And the dragon gave him his power and his throne and great authority. Understand that the beast, Nimrod, controls all the nations. All the nations are patterned after this Babylonian system of Nimrod. All the nations, all mankind is patterned after this Babylonian system of idolatry that Nimrod introduced upon the earth after the flood. He is the man of rebellion. He is the man of lawlessness. He is the 13th from Adam. Nimrod itself, the name means rebellion. When his name was changed to Amraphel, it still encaptured the evil and dark nature of this man. Amraphel means a sayer of dark things. It means a sayer of dark things. This is Nimrod. This is the beast of whom Hashatan gives him his power, because he is going to indwell him in flesh. He is going to indwell him. Read, little one.
And I saw one of his heads as having been slain to death.
And I saw one of his heads as having been slain to death, as Nimrod was beheaded. Nimrod was beheaded. Yes, he was. He was beheaded. Read.
And his deadly wound was healed.
And his deadly wound was healed. He is coming up from the pit, as we read in Revelation 17. We're not going there this evening, but as we read in Revelation 17, he is coming up out of the pit. He is going to be resurrected. And Hashatan is going to indwell the man of whom the whole earth is worshiping anyway. He is getting the worship through this man, through Nimrod, and he is going to indwell this flesh. And the earth is going to enter into a season unlike it has ever seen before. Read, little one.
And all the earth marveled at the beast.
And all the world, the earth, marveled at this beast, at Nimrod, who was resurrected. Read.
And they worshiped the dragon who gave authority to the beast.
And they worshiped the dragon. Indeed, the dragon is being worshipped through Nimrod. And he is going to be worshipped through this man. He is going to indwell him in fullness. He's going to indwell this flesh as death manifests in flesh. And thus, the power that Nimrod is going to operate in is not his, but the power of the dragon operating through him. No different than the Mashiach came, and the power of Yahuwah, Al-Yun, operated through this fleshly body, through that fleshly body. And he operated on the earth in flesh in great signs and wonders, unlike the earth had ever seen before, because he had a legal right to do so, because he came in flesh. Come on, read, little one.
And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like the beast?
And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like the beast? Read.
Who is able to fight with him?
Who is able to fight with him? Read.
And he was given a mouth speaking great matters and blasphemies. And he was given authority to do so 42 months.
For 3.5 years, 1,260 days. The time when the breath, when Ruach is removed, along with the remnant within the remnant, who has received breath, who has received wind, who have received Ruach now, who have been sealed with the seal of the living Elohim. He's going to reign and rule for 3.5 years, 42 months. And the earth is going to enter into a time of despair, a time of distress, a time of chaos, unlike it has ever seen before. Read, little one.
And he opened his mouth in blasphemies against Elohim, to blaspheme his name and his tent and those dwelling in the heaven. And it was given to him to fight with the Kadosh ones.
And it was given to him to fight with the Kadosh ones. Revelation 12, it says he turns now to go and fight with the Kadosh ones, with the remnant of this woman's seeds. He goes to fight with Yahuwah. From Genesis to Revelation, Barashith to Kazum, this book is written to Yahuwah, inclusive of the so-called lost books. They are written to Yahuwah. They are written to Yahuwah. He's given power to fight against Yahuwah, because now this is Yahuwah's hour of distress. Yahuwah has now removed his hands. He has removed his ruach. He has removed his breath. He has removed his hedge of protection. He's removed his light. He's turned off the water. He's removed the hedge of protection, and now it's saying, no, now you have power over them. I've removed myself, and now you have power over them to distress them. I've removed my people, my remnant within the remnant who have the seal of the living Elohim. I've removed them to myself. Now, I'm giving you power, I'm giving you authority to distress them, Hasatan. But in you distressing them, you're going to wash my people, you're going to cleanse my people, and you're going to purge my people, and you're going to prepare them for the marriage feast of the Lamb. And for your reward, Hashatan, for doing this, I'm going to send my messengers after the great distress to bind you for 1,000 years. I'm going to put you in a pit, and I'm going to bind you for 1,000 years and cover you up. This is how I'm going to reward you. But that's a temporary reward. That's a temporary, because he got something else in store for him. Come on, read, little one.
And to overcome them.
And to overcome them. To distress them and to overcome them. Read.
And authority was given to him over every tribe and tongue and nation. And all those dwelling on the earth, whose names have not been written in the book of the life of the slain Lamb from the foundation of the world shall worship him. If anyone has an ear, let him hear. He who brings into captivity shall go into captivity.
He who is bringing into captivity shall go into captivity, Yahakub. Read.
He who kills with the sword has to be killed with the sword.
If you must be killed with the sword, you're going to be killed with the sword. Wash now, wash later, but you're going to be washed. Read.
Here is the endurance and the belief of the Kadosh ones.
Here is the endurance and the belief of the Kadosh ones. You getting ready to be purged. You refused to be washed before, now you getting ready to be purged. Wash now, wash later, Yahakub. You have no choice. You're going to be washed. You will be washed. Read.
And I saw another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had two horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon.
This is the false prophet.
And
Read.
he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence. And causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed.
Nimrod. Read.
And he does great signs, so that he even makes fire come down from the heaven on the earth before men.
He's going to make fire come down from Shamayim. They're going to operate in great signs and wonders. And many of the elect are going to be deceived, and they are going to worship him. Read.
And he leads astray those dwelling on the earth because of those signs which he was given to do before the beast, saying to those dwelling on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword, yet lived. And there was given to him to give root to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause to be killed as many as would not worship the image of the beast.
As many to be killed as would not worship the beast. See, if you're double-minded now, you're going to be double-minded then. See, there's nothing new under the sun. Just like during the time of Nebuchadnezzar's Babylon. Because Nimrod, Namrud, represents Babylon. He is Babylon. He is the founder of Babylon. He is the founder of the Babylonian system of idolatry. And so quite naturally, this is coming back again. Nothing new under the sun. And no different than that time. All who would not worship that great image were thrown into the fire. They were thrown into the fire and were killed. And so again, all who will not bow down and worship this image of the beast are going to be killed. There are going to be great numbers killed, bodies upon bodies, great numbers killed, purged, purified, washed in the fires of the great tribulation because you refuse to be washed now. Read.
And he causes all, both small and great, and rich and poor, and free and slave, to be given a mark upon their right hand or upon their forehead.
Now you think that this is some mark, some physical mark. You need to go back to Exodus chapter 13. This is about worship. This is not about a physical mark. This is about worship. Listen, hear him. Worship is a subtle thing. It is a subtle thing. You will find yourself worshiping him while thinking that you're worshiping Elohim. Many of you find yourself worshiping him now while thinking that you are worshiping Elohim. if you are engaging in whoredom or any manner of uncleanness, and you're not convicted about it, you're not worshiping Elohim, you're worshiping him. If you're trying to cover up and hide your filth, trying to drink from the cup of devils and the cup of Elohim, you're not worshiping Elohim, you're worshiping him now. You're worshiping him now. I'm not talking to Christians. I'm not talking to any other religion, because we know that they are already worshiping the beast. And many of them will not listen. I'm not talking to them. I'm sent to talk to a remnant within a remnant. I am sent to proclaim to them, to gather you from amongst the nations, to bring you to his Kadosh mountain, where we will be given a song that no one else can sing, and to cause this sword to go forth in this season, to cut and to convict, and to cause his people to repent and to wash themselves now through obedience to his righteous Torah, to be immersed in the righteous Kadosh name of Yahushua HaMashiach, to die to the flesh and to be raised to life in Ruach. This is about worship. This is about worship. If what you're engaging in, look at your life. Look at your life. If there is anything that you are engaging in that doesn't bring esteem to Yahuwah, that if Yahuwah would not engage in it, if Yahuwah himself would not engage in it, and which we are created in the image of, and in which we are supposed to, and in whom we are supposed to imitate, if he would not engage in this in any, and he will not engage in any manner of uncleanness, any manner of whoredom. Elohim is light, and in him is no darkness at all. If anyone claims fellowship with him, yet walks in darkness, he lies and does not live by the truth. You got any darkness in you, you're dead. You're dead. Because he will not share a space where there's darkness. Where there's darkness, there is death. Darkness represents death. Yes, it does. Darkness represents death. This is about worship. Many of you are already worshiping him, because you don't understand what perfection means, that it means to be perfect, to not turn to the right or to the left of the everlasting decree that he's given to us. If you're engaging in anything that is not of him, that is of this world, that you're trying to hide and that you're not convicted of, you're dead. You have not his breath, because his breath, his ruach, his life will convict you to tears and to true repentance. True repentance means to turn from that behavior and never go back to those dead works again. That's true repentance. That is the true fruit of repentance. Come on, read, little one.
And that no one should be able to buy or sell except he that has the mark or the name of the beast. Except
he that worships him. They're already coming up with plans for a Sunday law, making it mandatory for the entire earth to keep Shabbat on the first day of the week. Mandatory for the whole earth. It is already in place in Europe. It is called the ISO calendar. It is called the ISO calendar. They're coming up with a fixed calendar. They're trying to imitate the master. They're coming up with a fixed calendar where all of the holidays are going to be on the same days in accordance with just like Yahuwah's fixed calendar. And where the Shabbat is going to be on the first day of the week. This is already in the works. This is already in the works. The man of lawlessness is already on scene. And his calendar is already in Europe. Soon it's going to be over all the earth. The whole earth is going to be under the same calendar, under the worship of the beast. Worshiping the beast, worshiping Hashatan in flesh. Soon this is going to occur. Wash now or wash later, but you will be washed, Yaakov. You will be washed. Read, little one.
Or the number of his name. Here is the wisdom. He who has understanding, let him calculate the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
Yes, 666, it does equate to Jesus. Yes, 666, it does equate to cross. Yeah, 666, it does equate to Christ. We know that that is a false Messiah. We know that Jesus is a false name. It is a false Messiah. But we spend so much time pointing our fingers at Christians because we know the truth of that matter. We spend so much time pointing our fingers at them that we ourselves don't know that we too are dead. That we too are engaged in a dead work, that we too are dead. You, Yahuwah, who make your boast in the Torah, do you not obey the Torah? You who try to teach others, Yahuwah, do you not teach yourselves? You are a hypocrite. You are a hypocrite. For your sake, because of you, the name of Yahuwah is profaned among the nations. It is profaned among the nations, pointing the finger at other religious groups and at Christians, not understanding that you yourself are dead. You are dead. You have not breath. You have not life. You have not ruach, and you are dead. You are dead, stinking, lifeless thing, separate from the master and separate from his people. Even though you dwell in the midst of his people, you're still separate from his people. And when his people are taken away from this place, at that moment, you're going to realize that you're dead. You're going to realize at that time that you're dead. When death comes upon this earth, when breath, when ruach, when life is removed and his people is removed with it, at that point, at that time, you yourself are going to realize that you are dead. Akin to that Bruce Willis movie, The Sixth Sense, at that point, you're going to understand and know that you are indeed dead. Give us another precept, little one.
Revelation 20.
Revelation chapter 20. Revelation chapter 20. Revelation chapter 20. In Revelation chapter 20, precepts, Revelation chapter 7, verses 9 through 17. Revelation chapter 20, precepts, Revelation 7, verses 9 through 17. Revelation 20. Revelation 20. Revelation 20. Beginning at verse 1. Read for us, little one.
And I saw a messenger coming down from the heaven, having the key to the pit of the deep, and a great chain in his hand. And he seized the dragon, the serpent of old, who is the devil and Hashatan,
yes,
and bound him for 1,000 years.
This happens after the great distress. After Hashatan has deceived the nations, he is bound now for 1,000 years. Read, little one.
And he threw him into the pit of the deep, and shut him up and set a seal on him, so that he should lead the nations no more astray, until the 1,000 years were ended. The
1,000-year millennial reign of the Mashiach. Read.
And after that, he has to be released for a little while.
And after that, he has to be released for a little while. Read.
And I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was given to them, and the lives of those who had been beheaded because of the witness.
And the lives of those who had beheaded because of the witness. Read.
They bore to Yahusha.
They bore to Yahusha.
And because of the word of Elohim.
And because of the word of Elohim.
Who did not worship the beast.
Who did not worship the beast. This is Yahuwah, who was chastised and who was cleansed and washed and purged in the fires of the great distress. And who did not worship the beast. Read.
Nor his image.
Nor his image.
And did not receive his mark upon their forehead.
And did not receive his mark upon their forehead.
Or upon their hands.
Upon their hands.
And they lived and reigned with Mashiach for 1,000 years.
And they lived and reigned with the Mashiach for 1,000 years. And according with Revelation 7, they had been washed. They were now washed before marriage. And now they get to meet their husband because they were washed. And because they washed themselves in the fires of the great tribulation, of the great distress, many having lost their lives, many having suffered, many having been beheaded. Now, because you've been washed, because you've been purged, because you've been cleansed, now you get to meet your husband. And in Ezekiel 36, this is where this happens, when those who are coming out of the nations have that clean water sprinkled upon them, have the heart of stone removed and replaced with a heart of flesh, and has his ruach put into them. Yes, you must receive ruach. You must receive breath. You must receive life. and who causes them to keep his commandments. At that time, these will receive breath. These will receive wind. These will receive ruach. These will receive life, having washed and purged and cleansed themselves in the fires of the great tribulation. Wash now or wash later, Yahuwah, but you shall be washed. Read, little one.
And the rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were ended.
And the rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were ended. I told you, there's no guarantee if you have to go through the great distress that you are going to resurrect in the first resurrection. This was spoken of in Daniel 12. Some shall rise to everlasting life, some to everlasting reproach. This is the second resurrection. There's no guarantee that you are going to make it through the great distress. Some are going to resurrect in the second resurrection, where some, as they are already dead, after the second resurrection, are going to enter into an everlasting death, commonly called the lake of fire. They're going to enter into the lake of fire, otherwise called the second death. Read, little one.
This is the first resurrection.
This is the first resurrection. This is the first fruits, the firstborn, the house of Yahuwah, who have washed themselves, who have cleansed themselves, who have washed themselves through obedience to the Torah, who have washed and cleansed themselves, and who have not turned to the right or to the left of his righteous Torah. This first resurrection, this firstborn, this first fruit is for the house of Yahuwah. It is also for those who are not called the house of Yahuwah, but who are firstborn, who are first fruits, i.e., Eber or Aber and Shem and Nuach, i.e. Methuselah, i.e. Kanuk, and all of those firstborn, Lamach and all of those firstborn going all the way back to Shaph and to Adam, inclusive of righteous Habal. All of these are going to resurrect in the first resurrection and going to partake of the marriage feast, inclusive of Abraham and Yitzchak, who were not called Yahuwah. Yahuwah is the son of Yitzchak. They were not called Yahuwah, but they were firstborn. They are firstborn, and they are first fruit, and they're going to resurrect in the first resurrection at the marriage feast of the Lamb and partake of the marriage feast. But some who will not wash, who refuse to wash, even in the fires of the great tribulation, you're going to resurrect in the second resurrection to everlasting death and punishment. Read, little one.
Blessed and Kadosh is the one having part in the first resurrection. The second death possesses no authority over these, but they shall be priests of Elohim and of Mashiach, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. And when the 1,000 years have ended, Hashatan shall be released from his prison, and he shall go out to lead the nations astray. Which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together for battle.
Read.
Whose number is as the sand of the sea.
The nations now have increased, because after the master comes back, very few of the nations are going to remain, because then comes the judgment of the nations. Then comes their partial judgment, the partial judgment of the nations, and very few of them are going to be left as the blood runs to the horse's bridle. But now they've had a chance to reproduce. Yes, the millennial reign is not eternity. Flesh and blood will still rule the earth. This is why Yahuwah is coming in flesh in the person of Yahushua HaMashiach during the millennial reign. And so after 1,000 years, after the nations have now had a chance to reproduce, and after Hashatan now has been released, he's going to once again deceive them, and they're going to come against his Kadosh people. Read.
And they came up over the breadth of the earth and surrounded the camp of the Kadosh ones and the beloved city. And fire came down from Elohim out of the heaven and consumed them. And the devil who led them astray was thrown into the lake of fire and sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet are.
Where the beast and the false prophet are. The beast and the false prophet are thrown into the lake of fire after the great distress. They are seized and thrown into the lake of fire. Here, after the 1,000 years are up, after Hashatan has been bound for 1,000 years and he's let loose, he is now bound and thrown into the lake of fire. Keep reading, little one.
And they shall be tortured day and night forever and ever.
Uh-huh.
And I saw a great white throne, and him who was sitting on it, from whose face the earth and the heaven fled away, and no place was found for them.
This is the judgment. Read.
And I saw the dead, small and great, standing before the throne, and books were opened.
Yes.
And another book was opened, which is the book of life.
Yes.
And the dead were judged from what was
If
written
you have not been washed, you're dead. You are dead. Did it not say, little one, that the second death has no power over the first resurrection? They're not dead. They're alive. They're alive. If you have not been washed, you're dead. These are the dead standing before the great white throne. These are the dead waiting for judgment. These are the dead. Come on, read, little one.
according to their works.
They were judged according to their works. Read.
And the sea gave up the dead who were in it.
And the sea gave up the dead that were in it. Read.
And death and Shaul gave up the dead who were in them.
And death and Shaul, which means the grave, the physical grave in the earth. And Shaul, otherwise called hell, gave up its dead. Hell is not permanent. Hell is a holding place until the great judgment seat. It is not permanent. Some are being tormented in hell, and they're going to stand before the great white throne, and they're going to be thrown into the lake of fire afterwards. Come on, read, little one.
And they were judged each one according to his works. And death and Shaul were thrown into the lake of fire.
And death and Shaul were thrown into the lake of fire. Who is death? Hashatan. Hashatan. When death and Shaul are thrown into the lake of fire, there will be no more death. Hashatan, who is death, will be destroyed. He will be destroyed. And after he is destroyed in the lake of fire and there's no more death, we're not going to read Revelation 21. But Revelation 21 says what? Nothing unclean shall enter into the city. Only the washed ones. Only the cleansed ones. Only the purged ones who have breath, who have ruach, who have life, who are clean, are going to enter into the city. All the dead ones who refuse to wash are going into the lake of fire. This is the end goal. They're going into the lake of fire. Wash now. Wash later. But you're going to be washed, Yahuwah. You will be washed. You shall be washed. You shall be washed. You can stop right there, little one. You shall be washed. Wash now, wash later, but you shall be washed. Many are going to suffer. Many are going to die. Many are going to lose their lives. Bodies stacked upon bodies in the great distress who refuse to wash. But the good news is many of those are going to be washed and purged and cleansed and prepared for the marriage feast of the Lamb. But many of those are not going to be washed and purged and cleansed and are going to enter into a second death. They're not going to rise in the first resurrection, and they're going to enter into the second death. Wash now. Just simply wash now. Just simply examine yourselves and wash now. Take advantage of Shabu'u, of the Feast of Weeks, which is the outpouring of his breath, his ruach of life. Take advantage of it. Simply repent. Simply turn from your filth, your uncleanness, your lawlessness, and turn back to Torah, to obedience of it, and allow the washing of the word to wash you. Be immersed in the righteous Kadush name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Be impaled with him. Be buried with him. Be raised to the newness of life. Die to the flesh. Be raised to life in Ruach and live. And live. Give us another precept, little one.
Revelation 3, 7 to 13.
Revelation 3, verses 7 to 13. Revelation 3, verses 7 to 13. We're going to speed this up just a little bit now, little one, and go ahead and end this.
Okay.
The Master has spoken enough words.
Okay.
Revelation 3, verses 7 through 13. Beginning at verse 7. Go ahead and read, little one.
And to the messenger of the assembly in Philadelphia write.
Yes.
He who is Kadush.
He who is Kadush.
He who is true.
Yes.
He who has the key of Daoud.
Yes.
He who opens and no one shuts.
Yes.
And shuts and no one opens.
Yes.
Says this. I know your works.
I know your works. I know your obedience to Torah. I know that you are obeying the Torah and you are being washed, and the washing of the word you are enduring, And you're not turning to the right or to the left of my righteous Torah. Read.
See, I have set before you an open door.
See, I've set before you an open door, you remnant within the remnant of whom he sent me to speak to. Read.
And no one is able to shut it.
And no one is able to shut that door. If you are remnant within the remnant, no one is able to shut that door. But some of you think that you're a remnant within the remnant, but you're dead. You're dead. You have no life in you. You have no breath. You have no ruach in you. You're dead. You're a dead, stinking thing, and you're separated from him because he is not the Elohim of the dead, but of the living. Read.
That you have little power.
That you have little power.
Yet have guarded my word.
Yet have guarded my word.
And have not denied my name.
And have not denied my name. You've guarded my word. You've guarded my Torah. You're not trying to hide the unclean thing. You're not trying to operate in filth and trying to hide it. You're convicted about those things. And you've guarded my word of endurance. Read.
See, I am giving up those of the congregation of Hashatan. Who say they are Yahudim and are not.
Yes.
See, I am making them come and worship before your feet.
See, I'm making them come and worship before your feet. Come on.
To know that I have loved you. Because you have guarded my word of endurance.
Because you have guarded my Torah. You have guarded my word of endurance. You have kept yourselves clean. You have kept yourselves clean and pure. You have guarded my word. You've kept yourselves undefiled. You've kept yourselves washed. Read.
I also shall guard you from the hour of trial.
I also shall guard you now from the hour of trial, because you've washed yourselves. You've kept yourselves pure. You've kept yourself washed. You've kept yourselves undefiled. Read.
Which shall come upon all the world.
Which shall come upon all the world.
To try those who dwell on the earth.
To try those who dwell upon the earth.
See, I am coming speedily.
Listen here. Because the master has too spoken these words to his servant. He has said, I am coming speedily. I am coming quickly. Hold what you got. I am coming soon to gather my children. I am coming soon to gather my children. Again, whether you believe his words that are spoken through the mouth of his servant makes no difference to me. He spoke them to me. Yes, he did. He spoke them to me. And he is coming soon to gather his children. Read, little one.
Hold what you have.
Hold what you have.
Your crown.
Least you lose your crown. Come on, least no one take your crown.
I shall make him a supporting post in the dwelling place of my Elohim.
Listen, he who overcomes, I shall make him a supporting post in the house of my Elohim. A supporting post in the dwelling place of my Elohim. If you are a living stone, if you are a living stone, if you have received breath, life, ruach, then you are a living stone. And he has promised here to place you, living stone, to place you and put you in his dwelling place, because you are his dwelling place. You are alive and you are not dead. You have received breath, ruach, you've received life, and you are a living stone. You are not a dead stone. And he has promised to make you a supporting post in the house, in his dwelling place. Read, little one.
He shall by no means go out. And I shall write on him the name of my Elohim.
And I shall write on him the name of my Elohim, meaning that you are his dwelling place. Because where his name is, he dwells. His name dwelt on the temple at Jerusalem, but his name now dwells on those whom he dwells in. Whom he dwells in, his sealed ones. If he has sealed you, if he has written his name upon you, then you are his dwelling place, and he dwells there. He dwells in you. I shall write my name upon their forehead. Read, little one.
And the name of the city of my Elohim.
And the name of the city of my Elohim.
The renewed Jerusalem.
The renewed Jerusalem.
Which comes down out of the heaven from my Elohim. And my renewed name.
Barak Yahuwah.
He who has an ear, let him hear what the Ruach says to the assembly.
He who has an ear to hear, let him hear what the Ruach says to the assemblies. He who has an ear, let him hear what the master is speaking through his servant on this night. He who has an ear to hear what the master is speaking through his servant on this night. Read us another precept, little one.
Revelation 14, 1 through 5.
Revelation 14, verses 1 through 5. Revelation 14, verses 1 through 5. Read in verse 1. Read, little one.
And I looked and saw a lamb standing on Mount Zion,
Yes.
and with him 144,000,
And with him 144,000.
having his father's name written upon their foreheads.
Having his father's name written upon their foreheads. These are those we just read about in Revelation 3, having the name of the Father written upon their foreheads, whom he has promised to keep from the hour of trial, and in whom are his dwelling place, and whom he is going to make as supporting posts in his dwelling place as living stones. We find them here now gathered on this mountain to worship the Master. Read, little one.
And I heard a voice out of the heaven, like the voice of many waters, and like the voice of loud thunder. And I heard the sound of harpists playing their harps. And they sang a renewed song before the throne, and before the four living creatures and the elders. And no one was able to learn that song except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth. They are those who were not defiled with women.
They are defiled. They are undefiled. They remain pure. They remain clean. They remain in subjection to the Torah, turning neither to the right or to the left of the Torah, having the seal of the living Elohim upon their foreheads, having breath, having life, having ruach. Read, little one.
For they are maidens. They are those following the Lamb wherever he leads them on.
They are those following the Lamb wherever he leads them on. For those who are led by the ruach of Yahuwah, these are the sons of Yahuwah. Read.
They were redeemed from among men, being first fruits to Elohim and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no falsehood.
And in their mouths was found no falsehood.
For they are blameless before the throne of Elohim.
They are blameless before the throne of Elohim. Maidenhood, hear him, represents purity. It represents being clean. It represents having been washed. Maidenhood, being virgins, means it represents to be clean and pure. It represents to be washed by the washing of the word. Having died to the flesh and having been raised having been raised by and through the ruach to life. Having received the breath of life. Having received ruach. Having been brought into the bond of covenant with the Master. Being pure, being clean, being washed. Being washed. Wash now, or wash later, Yahuwah. But you shall be washed. But you shall be washed. Three more precepts, I believe. Yeah. 3 more precepts. We have what? 2 Esdras? 2 Esdras chapter 2. 2 Esdras chapter 2. If you have a Sefer, that's 4 Esdras chapter 2. 2 Esdras chapter 2. If you have a Sefer, that is 4 Esdras chapter 2. 2 Esdras chapter 2. If you have a Sefer, that is 4 Esdras chapter 2. Beginning at verse 1. Read, little one.
Thus says Yahuwah, I brought these people out of bondage, and I gave them my commandments by men servants, the prophets, whom they would not hear, but despised my counsel.
Whom they would not hear, but despised my counsels. Many of you would not hear his servant. You still won't hear him. You still despise his counsels, and you won't hear him. You won't hear him through this vessel, through this dirt. You won't hear him because you look upon the vessel, you look upon the dirt, not understanding that it is the voice of Yahuwah that is speaking through this dirt, making an appeal to his people, to the 4 corners of the Arats on this day. Read, little one.
The mother that bore them says unto them, Go your way, ye children, for I am a widow and forsaken. I brought you up with gladness, but with sorrow and heaviness have I lost you. For you have sinned before Yahuwah YAHUAH'S, and done that thing that is evil before him. But what shall I now do unto you? I am a widow and forsaken. Go your way, O my children, and ask compassion of Yahuwah. As for me, O Father, I call upon you for a witness over the mother of these children, which would not guard my covenant, that you bring them to confusion, and their mother to a spoil, that they may be no offspring of them. Let them be scattered abroad among the heathen. That
they may bring to confusion and a spoil, that you be purged in the fires of tribulation. Let them be scattered amongst what? Read.
Let their names be put out of the earth, for they have despised my covenant.
Let their names be put out of the earth because they have despised my covenant. Read.
Woe be unto you, Ashur.
Woe be unto you. Read.
You that hide the unrighteous in you. O you wicked people, remember what I did unto Sodom and Amorah, whose land lies in clouds of pitch and heaps of ashes. Even so also will I do unto them that hear me not, says Al Shaddai Yahuwah. Thus says Yahuwah unto Ashur.
Even so shall I do unto them who hear me not. Even so shall I do unto them who hear me not. Read, little one.
Tell my people that I will give them the kingdom of Jerusalem, which I would have given unto Yasharal. Their esteem also will I take unto me, and give these the everlasting tabernacles which I have prepared for them. They shall have the tree of life for an ointment of sweet savor. They shall neither labor nor be weary. Go and ye shall receive. Pray for few days unto you, that they may be shortened. The kingdom is already prepared for you. Watch. Take heaven and earth to witness. For I have broken the evil in pieces and created the good. For I live, says Yahuwah. Mother, embrace your children and bring them up with gladness. Make their feet as fast as pillars. For I have chosen you, says Yahuwah. And those that be dead will I rise up again from their places and bring them out of the graves. For I have known my name in Yasharal. Fear not, you
Having been
mother of
purged
children.
and purified through death. Read.
For I have chosen you, says Yahuwah. For your help will I send my servants Ashu and Yirmiyahu, after whose counsel I have sanctified and prepared for you 12 trees laden with diverse fruits, and as many fountains flowing with milk and honey, and 7 mighty mountains whereupon there grow roses and lilies, whereby I will fill your children with joy. Do right to the widow, judge for the fatherless, give to the poor, defend the orphan, clothe the naked, heal the broken and the weak, laugh not a lame man to scorn, defend the maimed, and let the blind man come into the sight of my clearness.
In other words, do righteousness, Yahuwah. Do good. Do righteousness, Yahuwah. Be washed by the washing of the word. That means to do righteousness. That means not to be a hearer of righteousness, which is Torah, but to do righteousness. Do righteousness, Yahuwah. Do righteousness. Read, little one.
Keep the old and young within your walls. Wheresoever you find the dead, take them and bury them, and I will give you the first place in my resurrection. Abide still.
And I shall give you the first place in my resurrection. If you do good, Yahuwah. If you do righteousness, Yahuwah. If you obey the righteous Torah, having the washing of the word wash you, he shall give you a place in the first resurrection. Read.
And take your rest, for your quietness still come. Nourish your children, O good nurse, establish their feet. As for the servants whom I have given you, there shall not one of them perish. For I will require them from among your number. Be not weary, for when the day of trouble and heaviness come, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but you shall be merry and have abundance. The heathen shall envy you, but they shall be able to do nothing against you, says Yahuwah. My hand shall cover you, so that your children shall not see Shaul.
If you do righteousness, Yahuwah. If you do righteousness. Read, little one.
Be joyful, O mother, with your children, for I will deliver you, says Yahuwah. Remember your children that sleep, for I shall bring them out of the sides of the earth, and show compassion unto them. For I am compassionate, says Yahuwah Shava'u. Embrace your children until I come and show compassion unto them. For my wells run over, and my favor shall not fail. I, Azarah, received the charge of Yahuwah upon Mount Arab, that I should go into Yasharal. But when I came unto them, they set me at naught, and despised the commandment of Yahuwah. And therefore I say unto you, O
they despise the commandment of Yahuwah, no different than most of you. Read.
That hear and understand, look for your shepherd. He shall give you everlasting rest, for he is nigh at hand, that shall come in the end of the world. Be ready to the reward of the kingdom.
Be ready for the reward of the kingdom. Read.
For the everlasting light shall shine upon you forevermore. Flee the shadow of this world.
Flee the shadow of this world and the wickedness of this world. Flee from your uncleanness. Flee from your wickedness and be washed. Be washed. Do righteousness. Die to your flesh and be raised to life in Ruach and be brought into the bond of covenant with him and receive this everlasting promise. Come on, read, little one.
Receive the joyfulness of your esteem. I testify my Savior openly. Or receive the gift that
have not denied his name. Come on, read.
And be glad, giving thanks unto him that has led you to the heavenly kingdom. Arise up and stand. Behold the number of those that be sealed in the feast of Yahuwah, which are departed from the shadow of the world and have received glorious garments of Yahuwah. Take your number, O Zion, and shut up those of yours that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the Torah of Yahuwah.
Which have fulfilled the Torah of Yahuwah. Read.
The number of your children whom you long for is fulfilled. Beseech the power of Yahuwah, that your people, which have been called from the beginning, may be hallowed. I, Ezra, saw Mount Zion, a great people, whom I could not number, and they all praised Yahuwah with songs. And in the midst of them there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the Malachim and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing, and put on immortal, and have confessed the name of Elohim. Now are they crowned and receive palms.
Have not denied his name. Revelation 3. Have not denied his name and kept the Torah of righteousness. Did righteousness. They were pure. They were clean. They were washed. They washed now. They were washed. Read, little one.
Then I said unto the messenger, What young person is it that crowns them and gives them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the son of Elohim, whom they have confessed in the world,
and have not denied his name. Revelation 3. Read.
Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of Yahuwah. Then the messenger said unto me, Go your way and tell my people what manner of things and how great wonders of Yahuwah Elohaka you have seen.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Limping towards the finish line now. Barak Yahuwah. Give us another precept, little one.
Revelation
22.
11 and 12.
Revelation 22, verses 11 and 12. The master began this proclamation by sending a warning to his people. Sound the alarm. Sound the alarm. They that slumber shall die. They that slumber shall die. Wash now or wash later, but you shall be washed. He has also spoken to his servant that he's coming soon to gather his people. He's coming soon. He's coming speedily. He said to hold what you got, because he is coming speedily to gather his people, to gather those who have been washed, to gather those who are maidens, who are pure, who are clean, who are washed, who are washing now, who have breath, who have wind, who have ruach, who have life now, who have the seal of the living Elohim. He's coming to gather this people and bring us to his Kadush mountain, where we will be given palm branches, white robes, and a song that no one else can sing, in addition to crowns upon our heads. He says in Revelation 3, he says, hold what you got, lest someone take your crown. Lest someone take your crown. We will be giving crowns on Mount Zion for those who have been washed now, who are clean, who are pure, who are undefiled, who have the breath of life, ruach, wind, who understand the urgency of this season, who understand that this is a muadah, that this is a jubilee year, this is a jubilee, that perhaps this Feast of Weeks, which represents, which is symbolic of the outpouring of breath, of wind, of ruach, of life, may be your very last chance to enter into the bond of covenant with Yahuwah, our master. Revelation 22, verses what, little one?
11 and 12.
Verses 11 and 12. Beginning at verse 11. Read, little one.
He who does wrong, let him do more wrong.
Listen, he who does wrong, let him do more wrong. Irrespective of the words that has come forth from his servant, if you want to do wrong, go ahead. and do more wrong, Yahuwah. But you can wash now, wash later, but you're going to be washed. He who does wrong, go ahead, do more wrong. Read.
He who is filthy, let him be more filthy.
He who is filthy, go ahead, be more filthy. Disregard the words that are spoken through the mouth of his servant. Be more filthy. Go ahead.
He who is righteous, let him be more righteous.
But he who is righteous, let him be more righteous. Come on.
He who is kadosh, let him be more kadosh.
He who is clean, he who is kadosh, let him be more kadosh. Let him be more clean. Read.
And see, I am coming speedily.
Listen, see, I am coming speedily.
And my reward is with me.
And my reward is with me.
To give to each according to his works.
To give to each according to his works. He has spoken these words to his servants. He is coming soon. You who is filthy, let him be more filthy. You who are doing wrong, go ahead and do more wrong. But you who are righteous and who are hearing these words, do more righteousness. Be more kadosh. Hold what you got, because it's coming soon to gather his people, to gather us unto himself, unto his kadosh mountain. Give us the last precept, little one.
1 John 3, 1 through 3.
1 John 3. 1 John 3, verses 1 through 3. 1 John 3, verses 1 through 3. 1 John 3, Yahuwah and Alaf, chapter 3, verses 1 through 3. Beginning at verse 1. Go ahead and read, little one.
See what love the Father has given us.
See what love the Father has given us.
That we should be called children of Elohim.
That we should be called children of Elohim.
For this reason the world does not know us.
For this reason the world does not know us.
Because it did not know him.
Because it did not know him.
Beloved ones, now we are children of Elohim.
Beloved ones, now we are children of Elohim.
And it has not yet been revealed what we shall be.
And it has not yet been revealed what we shall be.
But we know that when he is revealed.
But we know that when he is revealed, that when Yahuwah is revealed,
we shall be like him.
We shall be like him.
For we shall see him as he is.
For we shall see him as he is.
And everyone having this expectation.
Listen, and everyone having this expectation. Read.
Cleanses himself as he is clean.
Cleanses himself as he is clean. This is the end goal. The millennial reign is not the end goal. This is the end goal. Seeing Yahuwah face to face. Entering into the wedding chamber with him. Becoming one, becoming akkad with him. And living throughout eternity with him. But everyone having this expectation. Everyone having this expectation. Cleanses himself. Washes himself. Wash now, Yahuwah. Wash now, or wash later in the fires of the great tribulation. But you shall be washed. Wash now, or wash later. But you shall be washed. Thank you, Master, for giving your servant strength to speak this word and to read these words. Thank you for giving us strength to complete the assignment that you've given us this night. I sounded the alarm, Master. I sounded the alarm to the four corners of the earth. There's nothing that I can do beyond that. Your servant has been obedient. I have sounded the alarm to your people. Give those who have eyes to see, eyes to see. Give those who have ears to hear, ears to hear. Give those who have a heart to understand, hearts to understand. And let not this word return void unto you, but let it go forth and accomplish that which you have sent it forth to do. Let not this word, let not this seed, let not this word of warning fall by the wayside. Let not this seed, this word of warning, fall on stony ground. Let not this seed, let not this word of warning fall amongst thorns. But it is my prayer that your word this night has gone forth as a hammer that shatters. and that it has shadowed hard ground. Hard ground. That it has shadowed hard, stony ground. That it has shattered rocks, hard ground. That it has broken up the soil of their heart and of their minds, such that this seed will be, such that soil will be created that is conducive to the planting of this seed. So that soon, very soon, even as we speak, your breath, your wind, your living water will come and water that seed, so that that seed grows up to become a mighty tree, producing the fruit that leads to everlasting life. We're now close, my master, to the hour of visitation, to the Feast of Weeks, to Shavuot, the day and the hour of the renewing of the everlasting covenant between you and your people. The day in which you are eager to send forth breath, to send forth wind, to send forth ruach, to send forth life. It is my prayer that those who have eyes to see and ears to hear and a heart to understand, that they would wash themselves fervently unlike they've ever washed themselves before. So that on the day of Shavuot, my master, you will give them breath. You will give them wind. You will give them life. And perhaps save them from the hour of trial that is soon to come to try the whole earth. In the name of Yahushua, my master, so be it. So be it. So be it. For those of you on YouTube, once again, Barak Yahuwah, that you've come and joined Yahuwah's remnant for this midweek gathering. It is my prayer that this solemn word of warning has been accepted by you, that it is being grasped by you, that you are understanding the urgency of this time and the urgency of this season, and that you're turning back with all your heart to be washed by the washing of the word, that you're seeking to be immersed in the Kadosh name of Yahushua HaMashiach, whereby being impaled with him and being buried with him and being resurrected to the newness of life, whereby having the penalty of death paid in you through him, and whereby receiving his breath, his life, his ruach, and whereby being raised from the dead. It is my prayer that this word has convicted you, that it has edified you, that it has indeed shaken you to repentance, to fall naked before his feet, naked and repentant of heart, the place where there is covering of your nakedness, the covering of your shame, and the forgiveness of sin, the place where he will bring you into the bond of covenant. We're grateful that he has sent you this night. We pray that you would continue to come to listen to the words of the Master. Once again, if you would desire to join us live, you may find our contact information within the channel description. There's an email there that you may contact us on. But until the next time we meet, Yahuwah barak you and guard you. Yahuwah make his face shine upon you and show favor unto you. Yahuwah lift up his face upon you and give you shalom. Thus you shall put my name on the children of Yasha'al, and I myself shall barak them. So be it. So be it. So be it. Shalom.